Welcome, everybody, to Catfish Weekly. Along with Cindy, I'm Lyle, and tonight we have the world famous Dieter Melhorn. Hey,
What's up,
Dieter, how's it
everybody?
going?
How y'all doing, man? Hope everybody's doing good. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir. Merry Christmas to everybody. It doesn't really feel like Christmas around here, Dieter. I was outside today, and it's t-shirt weather. It's high 50s. Going to be 60 for the next 3 or 4 days, and that's kind of unusual for here this time of the year, but I'll take it. If we just didn't, Cindy and I both fighting a little bit of cold. Like I told you before the show started, just carry on. If I lose my voice, if it goes away, and it may, just
And maybe a one-man show about 30 minutes into this. As Cindy applauds over your shoulder back
oh
there.
yeah. She thinks that's funny, but um, we're taking cold pills and stuff, and cold medicine puts me to sleep, so I have to be real careful with it. But I did take any before the show tonight because we got some important stuff to talk about, and we've joked about it for a week or two because a lot of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, you and I agree on. Some of them we don't, but that's what makes for a good conversation. If everybody agrees with everything, there would
That's
be no
right.
politics.
It'd be boring, wouldn't it? It'd be
life would
boring.
life
Yeah.
would be fun. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we'll have some good times with that. And I just wanted everybody to wish everybody Merry Christmas, and this will be the last show before Christmas. And our Christmas was done. I told you this before the show. Our Christmas was done with our kids and grandkids Saturday. And you and I done a little test run this afternoon to make sure everything was going to be good. And I decided at that point that I thought it'd be really nice. Cindy had the Christmas tree up, and I'd go in by the fireplace, and we'd do the show in there with the Christmas tree and the fireplace in the background, and all the stockings and everything. And you and I got done. I walked in there, and it was all gone. I mean, she done took everything down that was put up, and she was vacuuming the floor.
She's
And
a
I
bah
said,
humbug.
"Oh man, well,
Wow.
with the grandkids being here, when they was done, that's pretty much it for us."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they spent the day Saturday doing the Christmas stuff, and everybody made it home safe, and we all was full as a tick, and we was too tired yesterday to put everything away. And like I say, I was in here and I knew you was going to be calling, so we do that test. We get done with the test. I walked in there. I was going to
Boom.
say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And it was just back to normal. And I said, "Well, not going to
Yeah.
do that."
I almost moved my stuff to the Christmas tree, but my wife had decided that this week and next week she's opened up an orphanage here for people who don't have childcare during the week because everything's closed for the holiday. So, bottom line is, there's been a bunch of kids over here. It was chaotic, crazy. They finally left just a little bit ago. Honey, if you're watching, I love you and thank you. And it's peaceful and quiet. And I didn't get to it, so I just decided I'd go here from the Dieter Melhorn Fishing Command Center.
I heard some of them in the background
When we were
this
testing
afternoon
earlier,
when we
yeah,
were
yeah,
testing, but
yeah,
I figured that it was your kids and they had friends over or whatever, and
yeah. It's
it's
been
the
crazy.
holidays, man.
It is, it is, it
It
is.
it
Yeah, it
really
makes
is.
it fun.
So this all
Where do you want to
started.
start? That's
Well,
what I want to know. Where do you want to start?
here a while back you had made a post or
Yeah.
commented on another guy's post and got lit up pretty good. And it happens to all of us upon occasion.
hmm What
Um,
was the start of that thread? Because I don't even really
I don't
keep up
even
with them.
remember,
Okay.
but it went from one thing to another to
hmm
another to another,
Yeah.
and one of the things uh, that people are really down, and most of them
Mhm.
do not like trailering. A
Right.
lot of them won't say that online because they don't want to get slammed, which happens
hmm
all the time. And
And
you
for
and I've
people that
talked.
don't know, what trailering is some tournaments, most tournaments, the ones you watch on TV, bass tournaments, they all launch from one location and everybody leaves from there.
Hmm.
Trailering means that you can put your boat in anywhere on the lake, and some of them do it different. Some of them say you have to leave from the starting point and go, but most of them you can be anywhere. You start fishing at a certain time, and then you put your boat back on the trailer and drive it back to wherever the weigh-in area is. That could be 20 minutes. That could be 2 hours. So that's
Right.
what trailering is. They do it typically on a lake like Santee Cooper, that is massive, 2 lakes,
Mississippi River.
Mississippi River, to where, you've got limited entry points, long runs, massive bodies of water. That's what trailering is for people that are new to the tournament world.
Well, my take on trailering, I've never liked it. I have no reason to like it. It's the number one cause of dead fish being returned to water in tournament situation. The number one, because there's no way to exchange the water in and out. There's no way to get the poison toxins that they from them going to the bathroom in live wells. I don't care how big a live well it is. You get all that crud and stuff in there, and you can't get rid of it. Everybody don't have the live well set up that some people have. And with the way them fish, and sometimes they're still breathing, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they got guys that'll run up there and check them to see if they're breathing in the weigh-in line, and then if they die between that time and the time they weigh, they let them weigh. All that stuff needs to be gone.
Yeah,
there's no reason to weigh dead fish ever.
Sadly, on topic number 1, we agree on it. So I can't argue with you too much. I will add this to it. Because I've fished tournaments where they allow trailering. I have done it myself. So guilty as charged. I've done it.
Yeah. If you want to fish the tournament and that's the rule, you got to play the game.
Yeah, exactly. But I think tournaments should do away with it. And here's the reason. One is, now some people will argue, well, you're going to run 2 hours up the lake, and what's the difference in that or trailering? Well, a high-speed water pickup for your live wells, very, very affordable, very cheap. It's an easy deal. You're getting fresh water.
Right.
The problem with putting those fish in a tank, I don't care if you have oxygenated systems, oxygen infusion, oxygen bottles, Venturis, whatever, they're sitting in stagnant water. And nothing is better for keeping fish alive than having fresh water circulating across them. Plain and simple, it can't be argued. It's indisputable.
Yep.
When you have them sitting in stagnant water, it's a decline. It may be a gradual decline. It may be a steep decline. It all depends on how big a system that somebody has and what kind of system they have. It's bad. The bottom line is we know why they do it. A lot of times is the boat ramps are too small. They're putting too many boats. They're letting too many people fish out of a small boat ramp. They may not be able to handle it at those ramps. And, the other thing is, the other argument you have is that it levels the playing field, because faster boats, bigger motors, more money doesn't have an advantage. So those are kind of the arguments for it. I can make those arguments because I've heard them from everybody. To me, it comes down to this. I don't give a crap about any of that. I care about the fish. And the more pressure, and that's what really most of my complaints are with a lot of things we're going to talk about, is the fish. As this tournament fishing gets bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more people are interested in it. More and more people see big fish getting caught. The more pressure that's put on the fishery. You guys in Kentucky, Ohio, that whole world that are getting your fish taken and putting in pay lakes, a lot of that's a direct result of this popularity of sport. So
that's right.
Long story short, it's more pressure on the fishery. So we got to do what we can now to protect the fish, protect the resource. And that is what needs to be paramount above the selfish intentions of the anglers, tournament directors, people who are running them. The fish need to be paramount. If that means, we got to figure out a way to deal with getting a whole bunch of people in and out of a boat ramp, then that's what we do. Right. If it means you got to do some coordination, maybe limit the boats. If you got a ramp that can only hold 100 boats, well, guess what? Only fish 100 boats. I know everybody there is a lust for two things, big fish and money. People want to see both of them in tournaments. I know that. Mm-hmm. And that's a big selling point for all the tournaments. We got, that's the first thing you see, $20,000 payout or whatever. And all of that is driven by having a lot of boats in the tournament. I don't know of hardly any tournaments that are putting up that kind of money that is not angler driven. It's just the same formula that pretty much bass had for a long time, with the entry fees or the winnings came from the anglers. And so, it's we got to put that stuff aside and worry about the fish.
That's exactly right. And Quentin has made a comment on here. Greed is the only reason for hosting and supporting trailering tournaments. That's a big part of it, but that's not the
Mhm.
only reason. Um, One of the things that gets me, Dieter, is these guys. Well, we don't have enough room to park. How many ever boat shows up this
Mhm.
tournament? Our parking area at this ramp is not big enough, and I understand 100% from running tournaments for years that if an area is donating money to your tournament,
Mhm.
every angler should stay in that area. That
Mhm.
way, they get revenue off of the motels. They get revenue off of the restaurants, off of the gas stations where they cigarettes, whatever it is that they buy.
Mhm.
When those people put up, when you allow trailer, you allow other areas to collect that money. That's not putting a dime in for that, which is unfair to those cities and places that do it.
Mhm.
Another thing is, it is awfully strange to me that they never have enough parking to launch 100 or 200 or 300 boats out of one area. But
Mhm.
when they come to weigh in, they all
When
find a place to
they
park.
all can come to weigh.
What the hell is that about?
I was just getting. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I was just getting ready to ask you that because I heard that argument from a bunch of people online that, oh, well, have you ever launched out of so and so? They don't have any room, but you've got to come back there the way all the
That's
fish
right.
in.
And you got to park.
So again, that and I thought maybe I was missing something there, but I'll
No.
be honest with you, I've never fished a tournament that had that big of an issue. They've had some on Santee Cooper that were really big. They've got a big landing there that will accommodate that many tournaments. But yeah, if everybody's coming back, then I don't get the point. Listen, the bass guys can do it. Okay.
That's right.
If you've ever been to a bass tournament, a BASS event or FLW, they put a lot of boats in the water. They put them in there in a hurry. They put them in quickly, and they've got a system for doing it and taking care of it. And maybe that's just what we need to do is if we're going to move to this next level tournament wise, maybe we as anglers, catfish tournament anglers, need to get our crap together and get a little better organization if we want to move to that level in the tournament world.
I got to tell you, I've been doing them a long time, close to around 30 years. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I may be off 1 year or two, as long or one direction or the other on how long I've been doing tournaments. But Doc and I used to talk about this all the time, and we've been doing them for around 30 years. And it used to be that nobody thought you could catch these big blues when we started consistently. Somebody trip on one every once in a while, like
Right.
they trip on a flathead once in a while, but
Mm-hmm.
nobody knew you could catch them consistently. But
Yeah.
that's all changed. And with the
Yeah.
technology and the depth finders and the boats and the equipment that we've all got now, you can
Mm-hmm.
catch them pretty regularly. And some
Mm-hmm.
guys can catch them more than pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the guys that are succeeding in the sport. But if you got enough room to weigh in 100 boats and everybody get their fish weighed and find a place to park and come up to weigh in and collect their money or watch somebody collect their money, then you've got a big enough place
Absolutely.
for them to park at the beginning of the tournament too. That's a
Yeah.
piss poor excuse. It
Yeah. Unless
really
I'm
is.
missing something really buried there. That was my thing. I didn't get that you still got to come back to the same place and weigh in. So I don't. Now
Yeah.
here's something else I've talking about, and we don't have too many of them. But I've noticed in some of these tournaments, really like year before last year, that tried to stream the tournaments and you would watch them, and it would take hours to weigh all these fish in, to run all these vehicles. You've emceed them before, you've worked them. There's got to be a better way than having these fish. One, you allow them to trailer, so they drive 2 hours back to the ramp, and then they're going to sit another 2 hours waiting to get up there. So you got a
Right.
fish that's sitting in stagnant water for 4 hours. There's got to be a better way and a better system for getting those fish through that weigh-in procedure faster. And I know people, and I don't have a good answer for this. I've got a bad answer for it, and I'll just throw that out because I'm good with bad answers too. Some people don't need to weigh fish in some of these tournaments. And I know that's
right.
harsh, but
it's true.
When you have somebody, when you're looking at the top 10 up there, and the top 10, you're talking 80, 90, 100 pounds, and somebody comes through with 3 channel cats, they really don't need to weigh they need to just be funneled off somewhere else. So 2 reasons. One, better for the fish, makes the whole process a lot simpler. Fish get back in the water quickly, they go off to live. The other thing is, as this whole world continues to grow and evolve, it is a lot more entertaining for the people that are watching, because people actually like watching. I do. When I'm not fishing them, I like watching the live feeds and the live streams. And it's a lot more entertaining to sit there and watch something that's a little more concise and put together, and you know kind of what's going on. So that's another thing that I think they're going to have to work on. And this is the big tournaments. You know, it's not that big of a deal if you've got 20 or 25 boats weighing in on, you know, a local tournament or regional tournament. It's not a big deal. But when you get in some of these big tournaments and they're only paying out 10 places, you know, why are you wasting the time running somebody through the line that's got 12, 14, 15 pounds of fish if they're
not going to be
even
the
in
top
contention?
50 a lot of times. Yeah. Clinton again has said if anglers would refuse to support trailering tournaments, that would end. And that's 100% correct. And as long as people show up and fish them tournaments, there's a lot of reasons not to fish tournaments, along with a lot of reasons to fish tournaments. But if people don't agree with the way they're being run or done, they don't fish them. If enough people don't fish them, they'll quit doing them that way, or they'll go away, and somebody else will step up and
I know
and do it differently.
I know it breaks the hearts of competitors nationwide, but I won't fish them. I mean, I just made there's a few of them I've had the opportunity to fish, and I'm just against it that much. I mean, all joking aside, who cares what Dieter does? But you're exactly right. If more anglers would step up and do it, the problem is they're not going to do it. Listen. Tournament anglers like to gamble first and foremost. They
are gamblers. That's what they're doing, man.
They are. It's gambling, and they like a good bet, and they're just gonna, you know, again, that's the part that I struggle with, and that's why I come out and say this, because really I don't have as much of a dog in the fight as a lot of these people that have sponsors and everything. I can say this stuff. A lot of people agree with it, apparently, because I get a heck of a lot of messages when I get into one of these Facebook rants about it. But it's tough to step up and say, hey, we need to change something. We need to do this differently. And you know what? I'll take the bullets for it. I'll take the arrows. That's I'm okay with that, because I think it's better for the fish. And I think that's the most important thing in the end.
You know what? We got some new guys that have come in the sport the last 3 or 4 years, all over, from down south to out east a little ways. Some guys up west of me that are changing the way things are done. Some of them I agree with. Some of them I don't agree with. Most of them I have visited with on the phone numerous times. And I enjoy doing that. And a lot of times they'll ask me my opinion, and I'll tell them whether they take it for face value and use that information. I don't care what way or the other, but they don't want to know how I feel, then they don't ask me. And if they do, tell them, and what they do with how I feel is entirely up to them. And I like to see the sport grow. I always have. We're at a crossroads right now of determining how things are done from now on, and getting the right people to make the right decisions is going to determine how far and where this sport goes. Yep. So some of them are doing a really good job, others not so much. We've got guys that are writing rules for tournaments now that's never fished a tournament, never caught a catfish in their life. And how they get to the position to do stuff like that is beyond me. And I think I'm at fault for some of that, for helping them out when they didn't know, and try to educate some of them. But in the end, if you don't share your knowledge or try to educate the right people, it doesn't matter who you are. If you have something that they're interested in, if you don't share that with those people, they'll never know.
Yeah.
And the sport won't grow. And everybody doesn't have the same answers. You and I don't have the same answers. For example, on fish limits.
That's a good one. Here we go, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what everybody's been waiting for. Yeah. When I started fishing tournaments 25, 30 years ago, channel cat tournaments had, most all of them had a 7 fish limit.
7.
Then they dropped down to 5. And all of the big cat tournaments on the Mississippi and Missouri rivers, they was all 5 fish tournaments.
Right.
And I didn't think by the time I got around to doing tournaments, we was having huge weigh-ins.
Yeah.
People couldn't take care of the fish. They just couldn't do it. Boats wasn't made. 15 years ago, boats didn't have 100-gallon and 60-gallon live wells in them. People was making live wells, and for the most part, a lot of them guys done a really good job. But overall, there was fish being lost, and you had to stop it. So you made live wells to hold 2 or 3, and then you used the live wells that was in the boat to hold a couple. I noticed a long time ago that 5 fish on a Mississippi River was too much, because it was very possible to below the Alton Dam in downtown St. Louis that you would catch 5 50-pound fish or bigger. And nobody had a boat that could handle that. Nobody did. I don't care what kind it was or who baited or what kind of modification they did. So I dropped the limit to 3. And the reason I did, and this is where you and I are going to differ, but the reason I did is because I thought I don't like one fish tournaments. I think luck is too big of a factor in that. In fact, I probably would never fish a one fish tournament, because a guy that's never been fishing before in his life could buy a boat and a rod and a reel and go out, and in 15 minutes he could trip on the winning fish. He really could. And that's the reason I don't think the chances are nearly as much of a guy doing that with 2 fish, but it could happen. The chance of a guy doing that on 3 is nearly impossible. Of course, the more fish that you have, the less chance of that happening is. But I just think 3 is a number. But again, when you're talking about the James River, when you're talking about the Mississippi River, when you're talking about Wheeler Lake in Alabama, when you're talking about the Missouri River, or even the Tennessee River, in almost any place on the Tennessee River, you could catch 3 big fish. If you don't have a minimum of a 60-gallon live well and you catch them fish early, how many people have got the capability of getting them back? There's a lot of boats coming from the factory now that can take care of those fish, but not all of them. Not all of them. And everybody don't want to spend the kind of money it takes to put a custom live well in big enough to do it. So, but I think there needs to be a standard on these tournaments, and I know that I know you're kind of come back and tell me about your feelings, and I'm glad. That was one of the reasons to have you on, because we knew what we was going to get into. But I think that a 3 fish limit is very, very good. I'm not saying I wouldn't fish a 2 fish limit, but I won't fish a 1 fish tournament. I just won't do it.
Well, obviously, I don't work for MSNBC, because I gave you a chance to give your entire spiel without interrupting you.
He was awesome.
Let me ask you this. Are you doing any giveaways tonight? Because people are okay.
Let's do it. You go ahead and I'll get them loaded up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, I'll give you a second here, and I'll let you get them, because people were hollering in the chat about spin giveaway something. So
yeah, we're gonna give away to the people in chat.
Yeah. I'll let you pick somebody. It's a good little crowd tonight too. I was trying to watch. I think somebody said 151 is what I'm seeing right now over on my other screen. So
awesome.
That's a good crowd.
Yeah.
Good crowd. Welcome everybody. I'm Dieter Melhorn, in case you're wondering. That's my name down there at the bottom of the screen.
You and I have known each other for a long time.
Yep.
Back when the BOC was
Catfish1.com. Yeah,
that's right. I remember joining that. Oh, dang it. When there was 600 members to it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And of course, I got kicked out so many times. I was in and out and in and out and in and out. I think like everybody else was. Dang it. But, that's where a lot of us got to know each other.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. It just
I'm a lot nicer now than I was then, aren't I?
I think a lot of us are, not just you. Yeah. All right.
I've mellowed in my old age.
Yep, me too. I've loaded everybody up that's in chat, folks. And I want to tell you, yesterday evening, I got a phone call from Tracy with lightning bug lights. These are awesome little lights.
They are. I've got some laying over here in the corner somewhere that I'm going to
do a video on. They are way
on.
cool. And he called me on the phone, and we talked. It was going to be just a short conversation. and I know it was over 2 hours. I don't
Yeah, I
know
was
how
gonna say
much
good luck with that.
it was a long visit because we get ready to get off the phone, and one of us would bring up another subject, and then another subject, and then another subject. And I enjoyed that so much. But he makes a wonderful product. We have a few of these left, and we're going to give them away tonight. And I'm going to randomize this one time, and the winner from everybody in chat will get a chance to do it. And the winner is Bill Forshey, Forshey. Bill Forshey. Now, Bill, if you will contact me after the show, just message us on Facebook or stuff. Now, it's probably going to be in the morning before I get back to you because by the time I get done with this cold medicine, I'm probably going to be in bed.
Like a light.
Yeah, I'm getting a little fuzzy now, but I will send you a package of lightning bugs, and I believe they are all green and blue. There are 8 of them to a package, and you try them out. You're going to love them. It's a great product, and I got to tell you, Tracy is a super nice guy, and I was really had a blast visiting with him last night. So thank you so much, Tracy, for your products, and Bill, thank you for watching Catfish Weekly. Now, let me get that loaded back up because if I don't, I won't have it. But I know where you're going with what you're going to say, and that's cool because that was going to be the fun part of the show.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah. He's got a phone call.
Nope, he'll have to wait. It's my ex-brother-in-law, and he's used to me not answering him when I'm busy. So, yeah. Yep. All right, Dieter, let's have it.
So here's my argument. I started out fishing on Lake Wiley. You've heard me say this in the live feeds. 5 fish. It was a 5 fish limit, and if you had 30 pounds, you won the tournament. I mean, it was channel cats. Maybe you'd get a blue, and that all changed over the past 20 years. And fish have gotten bigger. Anglers have gotten better. I think that's another thing. It's not as stacked. When I used to fish some of those tournaments, they were easier to win. And I think anybody that's fished for a while will say that and has won tournaments way back when they were easier to win because not as many people knew as much as they do now. Now, when you fish a Southeastern Catfish Club tournament in our area, I'm telling you, there's only 5 people in that entire tournament that probably don't have a shot at winning. And the rest of them can kick your butt on any given day because there's that many good fishermen out there that do everything right. And more big fish are getting caught. And my argument when we started the Carolina Catfish Club tournaments years ago when I was running them, we dropped it to 2 fish. And that was a big change. And I'm a big supporter of 2 fish. And I love 1 fish because it's kind of a crazy all out. I'll get to that argument in a second. But I say 2 fish. And here is why. With more and more states, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, all these states having length limits on fish, it makes the weigh-in process much simpler when you don't have to worry about measuring fish. You don't have people arguing and complaining, oh, his fish was 33, it was over, you didn't measure it right. It eliminates measuring fish, saves time, makes the process much easier. You don't have to worry about dealing with that crap on the boat, figuring out which one's the right length and all that kind of stuff. That's one argument for it. Second, obviously, it's just easier to keep less fish alive in a live well. Even you don't have to have one of these big live wells that's in these boats. Just a live well like I've got. I think mine's 60 gallons, and it's just a modified box that I've got. I can keep big fish alive in there just fine. That's the easiest part. As far as the luck thing goes, I don't know if you've listened to the podcast or not, Lyle, but I did a podcast on winning a catfish tournament is luck. And my argument is, I say it's 100%. Well, not 100%. It's mostly luck. And here's my argument on it is that when Larry Muse goes and fishes a tournament and he comes in 14th, okay, is he a bad fisherman?
No.
No, he's an excellent fisherman, okay? He just didn't have luck on his side that day, okay? When the Ishcombers come out there and come in 20-something, they don't even get to see what a check looks like, Okay. Are they bad fisher? No, they're really good. Luck wasn't on their side. So my point is, I think these major tournaments, the big ones, there's probably easily half the field that can win it on any given day if luck is on their side, because they do everything right. There's so many anglers nowadays that do everything right. They've got the right tackle. They know how to land fish. They know how to get them in the net. They know how to fish for them. Everything's right.
Mm-hmm.
So the magic combination is luck. And that's why I say, if people win by it, there's luck involved, and that's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. I'll say this too. I believe that reducing the fish limit, if you went to a one fish limit, which I'm not a big supporter of, but I will say that the Ice Bowl does that every year, and it's a very cool event. I'm going to be fishing it, by the way, for the Catfish folks here in next month up in Virginia. It's a one fish deal, and I think that fishermen will fish totally different in a one fish tournament than they do fishing for multiple fish. I think the more fish you add to it, it changes your tactics and your approach to it. When we did the Patriot Catfishers of America, the benefit tournament last year, it was a one fish deal, and we went fishing for one fish. And it was swing for the fence. It was big baits and low.
And you won that tournament.
Yes. It turns. Here's what's funny about that. A little side story. Okay, we caught Big Nasty. He's got a channel here on YouTube. We catch this fish, and he's the guest on my boats. I'm letting him reel in all the fish. And right after, all I'm thinking is, I thought the tournament was per boat. I think he did it per angler or something, but we caught one right after, and I think it's on the video that I did. It's like 30 pounds, and I threw it back in the water. I didn't even bring that one in because we had a good fish. But yeah, that kind of deal was a total different way of fishing. If I would have been fishing a 2 or a 3 fish tournament, I'd have been at the other end of the lake fishing, because where we went to was high risk, high reward, and I think it would change the way anglers fish. And I believe this too, that the guys who are good now, the guys who win tournaments, win point championships, would be just as good fishing. I really believe that. The guys who will fish a tournament series and win the points would do it on a one fish tournament, one fish limit too, because their tactics would pay off in the long run. So that's my arguments on that. But the 2 fish limit, let's just have a compromise here. Let's just meet in the middle on 2 and go with that. That is a nice even number. Everybody likes even numbers, easy to count. And you got to admit, the weigh-in process, much simpler.
It would be faster for sure.
It'd be faster.
I think you'd lose a lot less fish. I will agree with you on some of that. I just there's just something that sticks in my mind, and I don't know that you know these boys, but Daryl and Jason Massengill.
Oh yeah, great anglers.
The hottest thing in tournament fishing for the last several years.
Yeah.
And if luck plays a part in what them boys do, they're the luckiest guys I've ever met.
But listen,
I mean, they're hot. They just catch a lot of fish.
But listen, they've lost more tournaments than they've won.
They have.
And that's true. That's true for everybody, because because again, luck. Everything has to line up and come together. And,
it does.
But I think the better fishermen are gonna. I don't care if it's a 10 fish limit or a 1 fish limit. I think in the end, the best fishermen are going to be the ones that are going to be winning. They will change their strategies. They will adapt, and they will fish a different. The biggest thing at the bottom line is, we got to get away from these high fish limits that some of these tournaments still do. 5 fish. I mean, come on,
that's
guys.
Crazy.
That's insane, especially.
It is.
Now, the one argument I heard, and this was from the possum people down in Texas, was they don't have big fish. And I don't know if it's true or not. There was they said, well, we don't have big fish. You're not going to have more than 10-pound fish or 15. And I remember there was a Cabela's tournament, I think in West Virginia, maybe, that was all channel cats, small channel cats several years ago. There was another one of the Bass Pro Tournament series when they had theirs down in Georgia, nothing but a channel cat lake. Okay. You can make an argument there that, weighing in 5 fish, if they're only going to, you're only going to have 35 pounds of fish. I can see that argument. But any of these lakes that have 30+ pound fish in them, go to a 2-fish limit. I mean, I just think that's a much smarter thing for the fisheries, much easier on everybody involved as far as dealing with them. And
there's nothing I hate any worse, Dieter, than to go to a weigh-in, and we have a D&T custom live well. It is absolutely flawless as far as keeping fish alive. It's plumbed into the boat's original live well intake, outflow, recirculation system. It works perfect. We never lost a fish in it.
Yep.
And if we can fish like that and catch our fish early in the morning, not lose a fish ever.
Yep.
And these guys come rolling in, trailering for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, however far they've been. And they have them checked when they get into the weigh-in line, and they say, well, they're alive, and then they're dead when they weigh them in. They throw them out in the river, and they're floating. That's the kind of stuff that has to be stopped.
Yep, I agree.
It's got to be put to an end. I don't care whether you cut the limit, whether you cut the size, cut the distance on how far people can go, stop trailering. Somehow, that's got to be stopped.
And tournament directors need to figure out a way to be responsible about determining whether a fish is dead or not. Okay,
that's right.
I can fillet the sides off of a channel cat, throw it back in the lake, and it will swim off. Okay,
that's right.
Is it dead or is it alive? It's dead. My point being is that just because the gills are moving on a fish does not mean it's alive.
That's right.
Everybody with any sense knows that a catfish, you can throw it in the back of a pickup truck and it'll lay back there for hours with the gills moving. You throw it back in the water, it's going to swim off. No, it's just a reflex that is allowing its gills to still try to circulate air. That is something that we definitely got to work on. And there's too many. I say too many. I don't know how many. Somebody was asking the other day if there's been any research into mortality on fish that are released. I know some of them swim off very briskly, and then I've seen some that are floating around outside just below the surface. And yeah, that's definitely something. But lower limits, doing away with trailering.
There's a lot of things, and I'm not saying it has to be done right now. We didn't get in this position overnight, but we're in it now. Let's fix it before it gets any further out of hand than it is. And I want to give away another set of lightning bugs, and then we'll go into something else that I think that you will find quite interesting. I know I do. I've loaded everybody up in chat again. We'll randomize them one time on random.org. And Maurice Kaysen, you are the winner. Contact me after the show with your shipping address, and I will send you out a pack of lightning bugs. Woo-hoo. Thank you so much for supplying the product to us. And Maurice, thank you so much for watching Catfish Weekly. I see you in chat every week, so I know that you watch us religiously, and thank you. We appreciate it more than you will ever know. Dieter, one of the things that I wanted to get into is an organization, and I worked on it for years with several different people to regulate things like minimum size for live wells.
Item number 7 on my list, Unity nationally.
That's exactly right. I've worked on that with several different people, and everybody says, well, you need to be the one. I can't do it. I've got too many projects. I would love to see somebody do it. I would love to help somebody do it, but I cannot. I'm too old to put that much passion into another project. My biggest fear right now is that the wrong people will take a hold of that and run it and ruin it, which it would take years and years to get it back to where it needs to be. And it has to be done correctly. I've got pages and pages of stuff like that wrote up, and I've introduced it to several other people. And there's some guys that think that, oh my God, we've got to have $1 billion worth of this or that to make it happen. And that's the wrong way to do it. It has to be funded, but it has to be funded by the fishermen, because those are the people that does it. So you're going to have a minimum amount of money to belong to this organization, but it has to be affordable for everybody, so everybody cares. And you and I have talked about this, and I've talked about it with other people, but I'm so afraid that the wrong group of people are going to do something before the right group gets put together, and we're going to be in a bigger mess than what we are now.
Yeah, no, that's something I think we're definitely at the point we need. The other, there's these groups out there, and granted, money gets involved, and yes, it takes money to run them. Nobody's going to do it for free. It's going to take some kind of money to do it. But like you said, you've got to make sure that it's done by the right people with the right intention, so that corruption doesn't come in and it becomes a place just to pad your pocketbook. IGFA, Trout Unlimited, those type of organizations are ones that kind of came about from the conservation side. And then the tournament world, you got, BASS and some of the tournament organizations, FLW, that kind of created tournament standards, if you will, throughout, their different, levels and stuff. And I think the catfish world needs something like that at some point. Are we ready for it right now? I don't think so. I think we're way too splintered right now for that to happen. But I think if some of like the Southeastern Catfish Club, I keep going back to those guys because I'm so proud of what they do. You have groups like that, smaller groups, which are not really small with the number of boats they got showing up at tournaments every month, but that are doing things right, can kind of set the stage for other tournaments to do stuff right. And then at that point, who knows? It's going to take like you said, somebody that has a real sincere interest in just unifying everybody and creating almost, I've heard a code of ethics, a level, a standard, something that everybody has to kind of, play by, right, to be a part of the part of the whole system, whether that be, a national set of, tournament limits or rod limits or whatever. And it's going to take anglers paying so much a month to make it happen. I mean, it may, or a year,
right.
Maybe a $20 membership to be a part of this. And you'd have to do that to fish the tournaments. But I think it's a good way. The biggest reason I want to see it happen, obviously, I don't care that much about tournaments as I do that being a unifying force, so that from a conservation standpoint, we have some political power at the state level, national level, federal level, with different things.
Right.
with catfish conservation. We see what everybody in Kentucky's going through with all their stuff, their fish being robbed. Tennessee's done a pretty good job of managing stuff and protecting catfish. North Carolina's done it, but there's a lot of states that, need that kind of lobbying power, that kind of force. And that's going to take an organization. And I think that would be the positive thing to happen at some point. How's it going to happen? I don't know. I don't know how those things come to be and how they're created, but it's definitely something that I think would be a positive move, not only for the tournaments, but really just for anybody,
for conservation efforts. And let's face it, Dieter, when you go into North Carolina, Missouri, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, it doesn't matter what state you go into. If they're fighting for regulations and you got 500 or 2,000 or 3,000 people that are on behind you, that's awesome.
Yep. Yep.
But when you got 150,000, you carry a lot more clout when you go into those meetings than you do with 3,000 or 4,000. And the bigger it is, the more power. And power comes in numbers when it comes to regulations and things. And that's what you need behind you when you go to Missouri or Ohio or Kentucky. It doesn't matter. If you've got the volume, you can get more done than if you don't have the volume. And it's regardless of what people say. I've been saying this for years, and people think I'm crazy, and maybe I am.
You are.
But you're playing, I thought so. You're playing politics with politicians.
Yeah.
And if you can't play their game, you're way better off to leave it alone and let somebody that can play their game, because all you do is set yourself back. Yeah. You're setting the whole industry back when you cuss them, call them names, do stuff, make fun of them guys. You're doing that to the very people that make those regulations. Yeah. And they just sit there and laugh at you and think, you ain't never going to get nothing done. And you don't. And they don't.
It
just don't happen.
That was the thing we learned with the Carolina Catfish Club 10 years ago when we got the North Carolina regulations in place, was that, one, you got to learn the process and the procedure of doing it. There's a way they play the game, and you got to learn how to play the game their way. And,
that's right.
Calling, like you said, calling them names, making fun of them, calling them out, everything in the book. You got to learn how to partner with them to make it happen. Yeah, it's political. It's not for everybody. But we need, and there's people out there who know how to play that game and are willing to do it and are willing to work with these people to make the fisheries better. And
right.
and that's the thing I would like to see from the tournament directors, moving in that direction. And that's the big takeaway in a lot of this stuff. Again, is
right.
Just the resource, and that's my big concern as tournaments get bigger and bigger, and so hopefully that's something they can look at doing. I don't know where that stands nationally. You probably got a better feel for it than I do, but I would like to see that coming together, meeting of the minds, somehow, some way, maybe at the Catfish conference. I don't know.
Yeah, it needs to happen, and they all need to get together and sit down. It's so hard to do. Everybody's so spread out, and I've tried to do it with several groups at several different times throughout the years. And some guys you can. One of the things that I tried to do for years was get a group of tournament directors to sit down in a 200-mile area, and everybody pick a weekend a month, and that be their weekend. And you could trade them if you needed to or whatever. Right. But that way, nobody had tournaments on the same day, and you couldn't get 4 or 5 guys to sit down and do it. You couldn't even get them to meet online and agree to do it.
And that's another thing.
That's silly.
That's another thing that I wish the tournaments would get their act together on, is these conflicting tournament schedules of parking tournaments on top of another tournament. Right. Here in the Southeastern Catfish Club has a tournament every month from like September through May. They got to schedule out well in advance, and they pretty much determine, it's the first weekend or second weekend, whatever it is. These other tournaments that come into town ought to pay attention to that kind of stuff. And, traveling around different parts of the country, different areas have different tournament series that are going on. It's a real disservice to the anglers, and it's a real slap in the face to some of the smaller tournaments when they park these tournaments right on top of each other there. So
that's exactly right. One of the, I don't know if you remember the U.S. Cat tournaments. They was one of the first big catfish organizations that put on tournaments, and they went all over. And I fished a lot of their tournaments, did very well in some of them back when they first started. And that's kind of how we got started. Everybody it's 2-man tournament, which to me, that's a professional team, is a 2-man tournament. A 3-man team, that is a family organization. That is a family event. Professionalism is less. One would be perfect, but you can't really do that in catfish because of the fish are so big. There'd be a lot of guys couldn't get them in and out of the boat.
Yeah.
So 2-people teams is a professional team. 3 people is a family event or a buddy system tournament, however you want to call it. There's plenty of them. We need an organization to put together a professional 2-man team tournament. But they was the first one that started that, and everybody was fishing with their adult buddies. I was fishing with my kids. They was 8, 9, 10, 12 years old. And, we'd win one every once in a while, and we get in the top 5 quite often. And that's how we started fishing the bigger tournaments, because in those days, it was the biggest tournaments there was. And they had some added money, not like what we got today. The amount of money that we got today has really come out. I got a deal here that I wanted to mention to you that John Finley said. I think catfishing order to remove from the roughage fish to do a sport fish. I have dealt in the last 10 or 12 years with 9 different states. And the number one thing that they'll all tell you, if they'll talk to you, because they've been made mad so many times, a lot of times now they won't even talk to you. The number one thing I'll tell you is you'll never get regulations where you want them unless you get regulations passed to make catfish a sport fish.
Game fish.
In my state, it has to be a game fish. Now, in my state of Missouri, not only is it a game fish, it's the number one fish fished for in the state of Missouri. And guys will say, well, no, bass is. No, it's not. You just call a conservation department, and they'll tell you that. And here's another one that Sonny Parker said he would like to see at least one tournament that everyone fishes without pre-fishing. That would be great, but I don't think you'll ever see that happen because there's too many people fishing them, and they're going to go. If they find out that there's $1 million tournament on Wiley, hell, I'm going to be out there next week.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things I was going to, that was one of my points. I'm glad you mentioned that about luck, skill thing. If you want to make cat fishing, tournament fishing purely skill, no pre-fishing, and go to one rod. You want to see skill come into play? go to a one rod limit. And you will, if you want to make the argument on skill. Sorry, we had to circle back to something.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Let me say this though, something else that I'll disagree with you on to a certain extent, and that is 2-person limits on the teams.
You just can't.
I believe that if right with the socioeconomic status that we are right now in the catfish world, if they want higher entry fees, like Cabela's tried to do this year, Cabela's tried to run up their entry fees. And from what I'm seeing at the turnouts, it showed. There were a lot less people showing up for those tournaments. I think you're going to have to allow more people on the boat to fish it, because splitting it up among 3, 4, 5 people is a lot more palatable than 2 people. I think you'll get more people to fish. Now, what is your argument against that being bad? The offshore guys do it all the time. When you go to these big, billfish tournaments and stuff offshore.
It's very simple. I've seen some comments in chat. Here's the deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you're allowing 3 people to a team,
mm-hmm.
for every 2 teams, you've cost yourself a team. 2 teams, 6
mm-hmm.
people. You
mm-hmm.
make them 2-person teams, that's 3 teams.
Right.
So you're costing yourself boats by allowing them. And if you're wanting to do big payout tournaments with
mm-hmm.
big entry fees, make them 2 guys pay the $500 or $1,000 entry. And instead of having 3-man teams,
mm-hmm.
you got 2 teams with 3 guys in them, have 3 teams with 2 guys in them. You got an extra entry fee, you got an extra $1,000 of money to split it up.
Yeah, that's a good argument for it. I think, though, we're going to have to find a sweet spot on the number of people, because we cannot consistently get as much as people say, oh, I want to fish a big money payout tournament. Like I was saying earlier, anglers put in all the money. We don't have TV money. We don't have TV deals. We don't have non-endemic sponsors that are putting up money for these tournaments. So it's angler funded. It's gambling. Mm-hmm. We're throwing the money in the pot.
That's true.
It.
And now some of it's coming.
Yeah, it will at some point, but right now we're having to fund it. So I think if we want those bigger payouts, they're going to have to hit a sweet spot, because I don't think the 2-person, there's not enough people paying. There's not enough real sponsors out there that are paying entry fees for anglers. And, a pack of hooks is only going to get you so far. It's not going to get you into a tournament. So if the anglers are paying it, we're going to have to find a sweet spot. Maybe it's 3 people. Maybe it's somewhere in there so that you can get a $500 entry fee versus, only getting, because, hey, let's face it, we can all do the sliding scale here of stuff. If you're only getting 10 boats into a tournament at $500, well, guess what?
That ain't going to work.
You ain't got that much money anyway. No. So would you be better off saying more people can be on the boat and get 10 boats that are then going to enter?
Dieter, I can remember when all tournaments was 2-man teams. And back when gas got to be $5 a gallon in our area, I was the first person to allow the 3rd person in the team.
Yeah.
And the reason we done it was because our numbers was down, because gas was $5 a gallon. People couldn't afford to drive across the state or from the middle of the
mm-hmm.
state to St. Louis area or above and fish those tournaments, because if they wanted, they could have paid for their fuel.
Right.
And we started allowing 3-man teams, and our numbers instantly rose. But as gas prices countries started dwindling away, and you had to get added money or something to get them back, because by the time you divided the money, you don't get anything back. Now we've got added money to where you still can do all right, but it's just more professional. I don't care what anybody says. A 2-man team is, in my opinion, is more professional. Now I'm going to tell you something that'll contradict.
Why not one? Why not 1 person?
I'll get to that.
The amount of boats.
Yeah, I would be all over that, except I can't. If I got a big fish on, I couldn't get it in the boat by myself right now. Mm-hmm. With that being said, and everything that's been said up to this point, Cindy and I fished tournaments, just the 2 of us, for years.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had big fish in the boat.
Yeah.
Right now, if we had a 60 or 70 pound fish, it would be hard for us to get it in a boat, where if we had the 3rd person, it'd make it easier to get in the boat. I enjoy fishing 3 people. I
Mm-hmm.
just think that the big tournaments, they want to be professional this and professional that, then do it.
Mm-hmm.
Have your guys fish 2-man tournaments, be a professional, and call it a day.
Well,
But I
let,
can't, I'm past that now.
yeah. Let's hit a
I really am.
compromise. Let's hit a compromise here, okay? I've convinced you to go with 2 fish, and let's
No,
put
you
3
didn't.
people. Oh, I did. No, okay. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no.
I'm jumping to conclusions. I was going to go 2 fish and 3 anglers in a boat. We hit a compromise, and everybody's happy. So,
Dieter, it's kind of like this. And I say this all the time. The guys complain about this and this tournament and this and that tournament. And it applies to me the same as it applies to everybody else. If you don't like the rules
mm-hmm.
in that tournament, don't fish it. If
Yeah.
I don't want to go fish a trailering tournament, believe
But I
you
will
me, I'm
complain
not
about
going.
it.
Yeah, I might bitch about it, but I'm not going to go fish it.
Yeah,
Just
I don't.
not going
Yeah.
to. If I don't want to fish a 3-man team, I don't have to fish that tournament. At this point in our life, Cindy and I still want to fish together, and it's just easier now with a third person. It just is.
Yeah.
Do I think that it's the correct way to be professional? No.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. There's 900,000 other people out there that's got opinions too. And a lot of them are afraid to say anything because they get slammed.
Yeah.
Online and social media will slam you for anything. They'll even slam you for stuff you didn't do.
Yeah.
I
don't care. I can take that. I can deal with that. We got to get this stuff out there and get people talking about it and listen, there are rules this year that are being changed in tournaments because of some of the complaining and podcasts that I did. Okay. And I take the arrows for it, but it got some stuff changed. More stuff will get changed. And listen, it's nothing personally against any of those people because they're doing stuff that's good. They're in a good position. It's just sometimes you can't let the inmates run the asylum and make all the decisions for you on what you need to be doing. And as leaders of tournaments, tournament directors, sometimes, listen, it sucks to be a tournament director because I run them. And it sucks because most of the time, if you're having to disqualify somebody, it's somebody you know. And a lot of times it's a friend of yours, and it's a bad position to be in. But listen, if you're going to step up and do it and you're going to take the money out of the pot for your part of it for doing it, then that's part of the responsibility. And sometimes that means making some tough calls and some tough decisions. And if the anglers don't like it, like you said, don't fish the tournament. If you don't going,
just stay home.
Yeah. If you don't like
that's
going,
all you got to do.
Yeah, if you don't like a 2-fish limit, don't do it. If you don't like not trailering, don't fish the tournament.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah,
it's very simple. But like I say, things change as you grow older, and things change as you become more proficient in how you approach tournaments. There's some guys in tournament catfishing right now that haven't been in tournament catfishing but 2 or 3 years. Some of them as much as 5 think they're God's gift to the sport. If you put them on a lake they've never been on before and put them up against Doc Langs and Larry Muses and guys like that, they'll get beat every time. But when you give them the opportunity to go out and pre-fish for weeks and weekends and 3 or 4 times a year before that tournament, they can be competitive because they have as good of equipment as anybody's got. They're very knowledgeable. They catch on to things really, really fast. But a lot of their ideas on the way things do are wrong. And they need to sit back and listen to some of the guys that's been around a while, that's been through all this stuff, and let them help them make decisions, because these are the guys that's going to be making all the decisions in a few years. Because you and me, one of these days, we're not going to give a damn whether them decisions get made or not, or we won't be here. You know what I mean? And these younger guys, especially the 20 and 30-year-old guys that are fishing these right now, the ones that have a dying passion to do what you and I have done for years, those are the guys that's going to be making all of the decisions, and they need to make the right ones.
Yeah, and I want them to have ideally, I want to catch good fish for a while. I want them to catch good fish for a long time. I want your kids to do it, my kids and everything else. And that's why I'm harping on this. Again, I'm in a good position to argue some of this stuff because, again, I don't have to worry about going to these tournaments and getting bullied by all these people that disagree with you and everything else. I don't have to jump on the bandwagon with whatever the right thing is to say and the right thing is to do. And I think it's going to be good in the end. Again, it's getting some people to think and look at some stuff and hopefully change some stuff. And I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good.
It will. It'll be great. How many more is on your list that we didn't get to?
I think that's it. The only thing I've got is my channel announcement, and I don't know if you even heard about that, but I told everybody I've got a channel announcement about my channel. As y'all know, I've been doing this for almost 3 years. It comes up 3 years in January. I think January 28th was the starting date. Pretty much is what I named it, and it's come a long way. It's done really good, and but I'm changing something around that's kind of big, kind of bad. I was doing some stuff that brought me a lot of subscribers, but I'm moving it. And it's the hunting content is going to go away. Now, I think one of my third or fourth biggest videos is one of the hunting videos. I get a lot of requests for it. And a lot of people ask me, I know a lot of subscribers follow it, but it is Dieter Melhorn fishing, not Dieter Melhorn hunting. And the content doesn't do as good as the other stuff. So the bad news is it's going away. The good news is I've got a new channel, and it's called, I wish I had something really nice and formal, but this just happened. Time in the Stand.
That's a great name.
Is the name of the channel. So that is the name of it. And I'm going to do a lot more hunting content, actually. It's not just hunting, but more of the outdoor oriented stuff. That's not fishing. And it's going to be kind of a year round kind of thing. So there it is. It's easy to remember. As someone pointed out, if you can't remember anything else, remember the acronym for Time in the Stand. And it's up. I've only got 3 videos up right now. And go subscribe. It's really, the fun part of it is this started at 0 subscribers. How do I make it 0 where you can see the O there? There we go.
There you go. It's kind of like one of these.
And it was one of my buddies in the hunt club. He really loves the hunting stuff that I do, because a lot of them are with Grayson. Honestly, they're not me hunting, it's Grayson hunting. And he kind of talked me into it. Britt talked me into it. And I actually said, I'm going to do this and get the thing up. And I put it up just 3 days ago. And I actually messaged him. I said, all right, the channel's up. Nobody knows about it. Go be the first subscriber. So I think I'm up to a whopping 7 subscribers now. Mm-hmm. And I think I have 44 views on one video. So it's fun to, it done one thing, is it made me realize how far I've come with the fishing channel. As much as I moan and complain and wish my channel had more views, I wish it was this, oh, I'm not doing as good as so-and-so, or I want this one didn't do good. It made me take a look and go, holy cow, I've come a long way. And I'm thankful for that. Thank you, Lord. And this has been kind of a good humbling experience, and it's going to be cool. So there it is again. Time in the Stand. Check it out. Subscribe. Hey, biggest thing. Everybody listen. This is the most exciting part. Okay? Are you ready? Everybody stop and chat. The messages are on Time in the Stand. You can leave messages under the video. Okay? Hopefully YOUTUBE is not listening and they don't turn them off, but the MESSAGES is on right now on Time in the Stand. So you can leave messages on the video. So that's the good thing. So
before we get too carried away, Dieter,
it's too late for that.
Yeah. Well, I know. I took the survey, as I'm sure you and everybody that has a YouTube channel did, about the kids stuff. I do appreciate the fact of why they do that.
Yep.
It's aggravating to me when I watch your videos that I can't comment on them.
Very frustrating.
It is very frustrating. It has to be for you also, because you get lots of people making comments on your videos. I do understand why they do it, and I filled out the stuff because our show is really not headed directly at children, although we have a lot of kids that watch the show, and we try to keep it as family friendly as we can and not go over the deep end We do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
People do get carried away. They get excited. Different things happen. But we try to keep it a family show as much
Yeah.
as we can. And I know you do because you
Mm-hmm.
got kids. They're
Absolutely.
on your shows.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems the one I do appreciate the fact of what they've done, but I think that with your son, even the one you had your little girl on here a while
Mm-hmm.
back, I don't think that's fair that people can't comment about your kids, and it's all because of one guy that may say something that he shouldn't
Yeah.
about one of those kids,
And
and you can't do nothing about it because you can't find out who he is.
And I had 2 weeks ago, I had a chat conversation with the folks at YouTube about it. And they're very politically correct on everything they say, but they seemed optimistic that the comments were going to come back. And just for record, the comment thing is not tied to the COPA, the whole thing that everybody's talking about, shutting channels down and all that kind of stuff. The whole comment thing is tied to something that happened with some type of child pedophile ring that was surreptitiously communicating through chat links or something. It's a bunch of complicated stuff that they won't give you too much information on, but that's why they peg certain channels, and they really couldn't. I even asked them if I took down the videos that had kids in them, would it change anything? And they said no. So I don't know, but it is frustrating because I think I lose subscribers because of it. I think people think it's done on purpose. I'm sure there are channels that turn their comments off. I don't, if you get in there and get mouthy or say anything, I'll just block you and kick you out. If you want to discuss something, argue about it, I don't have a problem with that. Let's face it, I like discussing stuff. So yeah, if there's something in there, I had, there were people that said stuff about, oh, you shouldn't shoot deer. And I had intelligent conversations with them about it. Or my favorite was releasing fish, the way I head first fish into the water. I had countless people that said I was mean to the catfish and that I was hurting the catfish by putting them in head first into the water. So I had to explain to them that was actually good for them, and they enjoyed it because it was like going off a diving board, and catfish don't get to go off a diving board without going through a dam, and it's a lot more fun. So, but I enjoy that stuff. So.
I just have a funny feeling about that, and you and I talked about this before too. I feel that those fish never hit water that hard, ever, because they swim around. They're very buoyant, and I have such a respect for those fish after I've caught them that I don't want to throw them in. I want to lay them down and release them gently, and hopefully they won't be mad at me the next time I stick a hook in them.
You're sweet. You're a very good person.
I very seldom you will ever see me throw one unless I've got a hook in my finger or fin like you had. Things like that. I
should have ate that fish. I should have ate that fish.
I can't believe that you did it.
Still cringe thinking about that.
Oh my God, I'll never forget that when you was doing that. That was wild, crazy. But it is a very, very good. I don't know how to say this. Contribution to those scissors.
Yes.
It's very, very good and a great product. But
good job getting that fin off.
Absolutely, you chop a fin off. It is. How's Grayson?
Time in the stand. Shameless plug. I should have put it right there. I should have put time in the stand. I should have. I missed a marketing opportunity.
Dieter, you got to quit that.
Yeah, Grayson is doing good. Grayson, some people are asking about deer season. We passed up, I don't know how many deer. I mean, it was in the 60s. And then finally, a couple of weeks ago, we turned him loose and he popped the doe that morning and then killed an 8-pointer that evening. And he's got 2 in the freezer, and he's probably get one more. We may try to shoot one more before the year's over with. So, but I'll have those videos on the new channel too. So that'll be kind of where that stuff's going to live, because I still like shooting those videos and doing those videos, telling those stories and that kind of stuff. And it's a place for some of the stuff that's not totally fishing. So be cool.
Yep. That's
once you find me a place to hunt out there in Missouri, I'll come out there and we'll film a show out there.
I used to have a great spot. You should have come up before we moved south, because I had a great spot. Nobody killed anything under 150 inch. That I mean, they just didn't do it. And the whole community was in
Yeah.
agreement with that. You didn't even pull up on one if it wasn't 150 or more. And
Wow.
I passed giants that most people would have paid big money to hunt, and I got video of them, some unbelievable deer. And the one that I shot, I knocked completely off of his feet with a 7mm mag. We looked for him for a week and never found him. And that's the only deer that I ever shot with that gun in the, my God, I can't tell you how many years that I hunted with it, that ever walked away.
Yeah.
I mean, they just, boom, they was down.
I'll tell you what I told the guy in Canada when I went hunting up there, and they said they had a 140-inch minimum. And I said, the only way I'm passing a 140-inch deer is if he's standing on the side of the road and we go flying by in the morning. I said, so, yeah. Now, that's good, though. When you live in a place like that has a good limit on deer, and you've got like-minded hunters, you can let those 130, 135, 40-inch deer go and grow.
And that's why you got 200-inch deer.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
That's exactly why you do. And I used to have a big passion. I used to go to Colorado all the time for elk and mule deer and enjoyed doing that. I had horses that you could pack in and out on. We'd camp in the mountains, and just, it was a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm past that now. You know, like I say, you get to be a certain age, you quit doing all that stuff. But
you're looking for
a lot.
You're looking for a Holiday Inn in Colorado, not a campsite, right?
You know, Cindy and I used to camp, and we used to stay out and stuff. And if we do now, it's in a motel anymore.
Holiday Inn with a Cracker Barrel in front of it.
We used to have a motor home, and that was a wonderful thing. But don't even want that no more. You know, so
are you going to be doing a show next Monday?
Is that something special?
No, it's New Year's Eve. So.
New Year's Eve, kind of like Christmas Eve. I'll be here.
Yep. That is the day, Christmas Eve. So perfect.
Yep. Hey, everybody that's watching, thank you guys so much for watching Catfish
Great show.
Weekly.
Thank you guys for coming in. That was a tremendous
Dieter, it's
crowd
always
tonight.
a pleasure to have you on the show. I mean, we talk about this a lot, and we talked about some stuff this afternoon we didn't get into tonight, but we're running on an hour and 10 minutes. It's been a lot of fun having you on here. It always is. And think about what we talked about this afternoon. If you're interested in that, we'll do something.
Yeah, we'll make it happen, man.
Yeah, that'd be great. The people that watch our show, thank you so much. Want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. If you're traveling through the holidays, please be careful. If you go, we'll see you before New Year's, but have a happy holidays. Tell your kids to be safe with all the new toys and guns and all the stuff that they get for Christmas. Dieter, thank you again. We appreciate you guys so much. And, we may have to continue this conversation at a later date because we really didn't get to everything.
I'll come up with some more stuff to argue about.
That'll be fine. Check out Dieter's new channel. What is it again, Dieter?
We got flip cards.
Flip cards. Time in the stand.
Time in the stand.
Thanks a bunch. Thanks everybody for watching Catfish Weekly. We appreciate all your thumbs up. We'll see you next week.